Here in Key West, we were out before it was in. In this open and inclusive paradise, you can be yourself, make new friends, and savor our live and let live vibe. With LGBTQ plus friendly accommodations, our legendary nightlife, and year-round activities and events, it's always a good time to come as you are. Key West, close to perfect, far from normal.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
He's an old head.
Youngins are really starting to get on my damn nerves.
He's a purveyor of nonsense. He's a Georgia high school coaching job influencer. His favorite Bible verse is, Jesus wept. He's the man of constant sorrow, Chris Lamb.
Yeah.
Sun Coaches Podcast would like to thank our sponsor, Vertical Raise. Elevate your program's fundraising this season with Vertical Raise. Vertical Raise is the premier online fundraising platform for organizations of all sizes, using innovative technology to create the easiest and most efficient system available. Raise more money in less time with your local fundraising coach, who works with you every step of the way to customize the ideal fundraiser for your program. To find out more, reach out to Justin Kilpatrick at justink@verticalraise.com. or follow at Vertical Raise, capital G, capital A, on X. Justin Kilpatrick is a territory sales representative. His number is 229-860-0057. Again, you can reach him at justink@verticalraise.com. Justin is good people. I've met him at a golf tournament this summer, and he's done a lot of good work for a lot of programs over the state. Reach out and see what he can do for your program.
Welcome to Sun Coaches Podcast, and tonight got a good buddy of mine. He had a fantastic year this past year, but he spent a better part of over a decade building up a great program at Telfair County. Coach Matt Burleson, thanks for being with us tonight.
Hey, I appreciate you inviting me to be on the podcast this evening.
Well, Coach, I know you've been there for so long. I don't think people realize how long you've spent at this one place, but where did you start off and grow up and really start your journey?
Well, I'm originally from Florida. I'm son of a coach myself here. My dad was a 37-year veteran all throughout high school, mainly the Panhandle, but I played for him at Denellen High School just outside of Ocala, Florida. You know, any Gator fans out there, is the home of Ernie Mills. Georgia fans probably remember him too. He's a pretty good one back in the day. But so I played for my dad there, and I obviously learned a lot from him. And you know, if he was still alive, he'd probably still be coaching. He'd still be coaching, and he was alive my first year here at Telfair, so that was fun. He got to come to just about every game and see me coach and things like that. So I was not only was it a special year being first year head coach, but also getting to share and enjoy that with my dad. But so I played at Denellen High School. Got an opportunity to play in college for a few years. Played at Wake Forest University. More so, you know, those guys you see on Saturdays signaling in the plays and hold up the clipboards. That was me over there on the sideline. We had some really good ones, and played for Jim Caldwell. Learned a lot from him and his staff. He's a great young man. Not young man, he's an old man now, but he was a great one to learn and be a part of. And then got to my senior year and wanted to play, and so I transferred to the University of Tennessee Martin and played there. And if you don't know where that's at, that is literally in the northwest corner of Tennessee, about 15 minutes from Missouri, 15 minutes from Kentucky. If you blink, you will miss it. But met a lot of lifelong friends there. Best man at my wedding, who's now a college football coach, play with him there. So a lot of great times, great memories there. Graduated from there, and then was a intern assistant with the University of Georgia with Coach Rick his first season there. Connection there was Dr. John Eason. He was a great one. He was one of our neighbors in Tallahassee when my dad was a coach in Tallahassee. So I knew all the Florida State coaches, kind of grew up right around them, and got up to know all of them real well. So got to work with there, got to work the receivers, help out Coach Bobo. Hey, whatever they need, if they needed some drinks, you needed coffee, you needed me to run, get your food, I'm your guy. So, it was a great learning experience. It was a great staff to just be a part, sit there in the back and listen to a lot of great coaches, a lot of great minds, and anything you've heard great about Coach Rick, it's all true.
I had Brad Smith on last week, the other day, and he GA'd strength and conditioning, and for Coach Rick, and he was talking about what an awesome. I said, he's one of the most well thought of humans out there in the business, and he was talking about how anything you've ever heard is true, and that how great he was as far as building relationships with not just players but just everybody.
That's right. Here I am, just graduated. The only connection I have is Coach Eason, and he was very nice and helpful to me, coming out of college. But I did that for a year, and then I GA'd at Georgia Tech. Kind of funny flopping over from Georgia Tech. Over there with Coach Gailey, his first 2 years, I did some operations GAing, did some recruiting GAing, and then finished up doing some defensive GAing. But the key there, I met a lot of great people, had a great time. But I met the great Butch Brooks, long time giant in high school football, Washington Wilkes. He was the assistant for a long time at Valdosta, but he was the director of football ops and the high school relations guy there for a while. So got to know him. So many great stories could share with him, but he was a big mentor of mine, and just learned so much from him about not X's and O's, but just how to be a coach and how to run things, how to do things and stuff like that. Learned a lot from him, and he was really good taking a young coach under his wing and teaching him those things. So did that. And then I decided after those 3 years, I wanted to be a high school coach. Like I said, I saw it through my dad growing up, and not that I didn't enjoy college, but I just felt like I could have a bigger impact on the young kids' lives at the high school age as opposed to the college. So decided to get into high school football, and I worked at Wheeler High School in Marietta my first year out.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1, go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2, collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3, play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games, all for free?
Step 4, unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Out under Chuck Goddard, another great one.
Yep.
Very successful coach, and now he's over at Blessed Trinity over there. First job, a PE major, and they said, you're going to teach self-contained EBD, Algebra 1, World Geography, and government economics. I said, I'm sorry, what? And here's your books, here's your teacher's editions. Have fun.
No, I'll tell you what they did, because I was going to mention this for people listening. If they're not paying real close attention, went to Wake Forest, GA'd at Georgia Tech. Oh, this guy's smart. And they're going, oh, he can handle this. He's the smartest guy in the building. He can handle these guys.
Yeah, that was the good thing is I may have not known what they're doing, but the good thing is they didn't either. But I had a very small classroom. It was probably like 6 or 8 kids, and
These are the people. These are the kids that nobody could do anything with and didn't want anything to do with. Probably,
right. They figured young football coach or whatever, he'll be fine. He can handle them or whatever. Didn't have a clue about writing an IEP or anything like that. Had to learn that on the fly. But
probably loved those kids. Probably got along great with them.
You know what? Never had an ounce of problem out of any of them. We got along great. I don't know how much algebra I taught them, but there were no behavior problems or anything like that. But had a great time there. And then right there around that time is when my dad got sick with cancer. So I wanted to move closer to him. So I moved down to the coast as close as I could. I wanted to stay in Georgia, but as close as I could get to them. Job open at Glenn Academy with Rob Ridings, another storied coach in there, and learned a lot from them. And Jeff Cannon, who you had on earlier, he and I were there at Glenn Academy.
Really?
Yeah, we were there together at the same time. Jeff and I are great friends. Funny story on that. Jeff actually probably saved my life while we were down there. Me being one of the only single coaches on the staff. I was in the middle of, which I thought I just had food poisoning. I was in the middle of a emergency appendicitis. I just thought I had food poisoning or something, so I was just gonna call in. I said, call Jeff to get the old sub finder number, and he's like, "Man, you sound terrible." I said, "Man, I feel terrible." And he's like, "You want me to come get you?" I said, "Nah, I'll be fine." Well, apparently he decided to come get me anyway because he found me passed out in my condo and rushed me to the hospital and they had surgery on me right there in the middle of the night and got all that cleaned up. But if Jeff wouldn't have came and got me, I might not have been around the next morning. So I always tell his players at Brantley County now he's at Coosa, but what a fine coach they have and everything. He's a great human being, but so he's kind of one of those lifelong friends. We try to get together once a year, whatever, along with some other guys that we were tight there. I was there for a few years there working on the offensive side of the ball. I knew I wanted to be a head coach one day, and I felt like I needed to learn the defensive side of the ball a little bit better before I started going after head coaching jobs. So through my connection with Butch Brooks, I took the defense coordinator job with Don Norton over at Johnson County, which another giant in Georgian high school football. So I've had the opportunity to work under a lot of great coaches from playing for my dad, Jim Caldwell playing under him, and then Chuck Goddard, Rob Ridings, Don Norton here, learning under Butch Brooks, under Mark Rick, Chan Gailey, all those guys. So I was with Don for 4 years, and then the job came open at Telfair County in 2012, and we took that and have been here ever since. And it's been a tough road. It was probably not one of the best programs in the state. They were pretty bad, and in one of the toughest regions at the time with Charlton, Clinch, Irwin, Wilcox, Turner County, Lanier County, Atco, all those, which just about everybody in that region had won a state championship at some point. So trying to get the program turned around in that region was a really tough task. And I remember my very first spring, we couldn't even take a handoff. And I remember calling my principal, asking what in the world did you get me into over here. But stayed the course and kept our head down. Had some great assistant coaches over the years. Got a great staff now, and we've come a long way. We've just finished up year 12, and we've been to the playoffs 4 times in 12 years, which hasn't ever happened before. And we just made a run to the semifinals, which has never happened before. So the last 2 years, we've been real successful, and it's obviously we've had some good players, but we've got some great coaches, and it just it's been great enjoying all the hard work and the blood, sweat, and tears that we've put into it as a family and as a staff over the last 12 years. Because we got here when my little girl was 6 months old, and she just turned 13, like we were talking about yesterday. So it's crazy. All she knows is McRae, Georgia. I think she thinks the Statue of Liberty is in McRae, Georgia.
Yeah, I was about to say, and y'all got a little Statue of Liberty, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, as I say, I think some of the kids, if you ask them in history class, they might think it's in McRae, Georgia.
Well, there is one there. You have one.
That's right.
And there's a really good restaurant out there. What's that place that's out?
Well, we've got Cedar Lane, which is the supper club out there, kind of on the outskirts towards high school. Southern Star is always a good one. Then we got a couple newer ones that are smaller with Willow Creek and the Chicken Box, which just kind of some locals, but man, sure is some good cooking.
Yeah, Cedar Lane. That's we rode. Another couple wanted to go out to eat with us one night. And we rode out there, and we get out there. We're all fired up. We're like, "Yeah, this is a good place." And you get out there, it's on the lake or pond or whatever it is, and get out there, and it was closed. It's only open, 3 nights.
Yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, we found out there on like a Tuesday. I was like, "Dope."
Yep. But it's funny. We talk about Cannon. That story he told. I was listening. I was telling him we're talking about that story he told where we had the huge, ginormous brawl in the middle of the locker room. I was there for that. I remember that. We talk about that all the time, of how.
Hey, it's Cole Swindell, and when I spend 200 days a year rolling down the highway, the bus can start to feel smaller than a guitar case. Everyone wonders how I stay chill while the hours crawl by. Truth is, one good luck spin on Chumba, and suddenly the trip feels a whole lot shorter. Finding your space, even when there isn't much to spare. Need some chill? Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus TNC Supply. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Crazy, and probably didn't realize it at the time how dangerous it was, but that was a true story right there that he told on that one.
Yeah, you're sitting there going, "That happened."
Yeah,
Yep,
sure did.
And that was like that. Yeah, man, there's been a lot of great places. I know I had Bobby McAllister on, and you've won now. You've done things there that he was the last person to win there.
It's
and that's a long time
like I said,
ago.
last couple of years, we hosted the first playoff game in 30 years and won the first one in 30 years, and we made it was really cool. Obviously coaches that have done it before to be practicing on that Thanksgiving week where nobody's on campus but you, and there's just something special about practicing on that Thanksgiving week. It was a memorable, not only for the kids but for the coaches and the community. And then we played Macon County, who was third in the state at the time, and it was so slammed. It was such a great atmosphere for small town high school football, and our kids played so well. And when we won that one, and then of course we ran into the buzzsaw over there in Manchester. But like I said, our whole community made that travel all the way up to Manchester in December. It was a packed house there, standing room only. So it was a great memory, not only for us as coaches, but for these kids and in the community. This is something that, they'll talk about for a long time. So it's exciting. And, I'm very happy for our kids and our community, and especially the coach and staff that's, got to put up with me all the time. So
what do you think about summer so far?
Hot. It's hot. No, it's been great. Our kids, they're not like maybe Metro kids where have a lot going on. Our kids want to be here. They want to be here working out and working. They're mad when the weight room's not open. So that's a good problem to have. One of those great things about being in South Georgia and being in a small town is sometimes there's not as much to do for the kids. So what they do is sports. We have a lot of kids that play 2 and 3, and even some play 4 sports. So, there's always something going on up here in the summertime, up here at school. So I love it. It's my passion. I love being around these kids every day. I love seeing these kids progress as little scrawny ninth graders tripping all over themselves into turning into nice, fine young men. By the time they leave here with us, it's fun to see them develop as players and people as well.
So, as the son of a high school coach, when you were little, did y'all move around a lot, or did your dad stay? I mean, was he at the same school most of your when you were little? I mean, or did y'all have to move around a lot?
We
too?
moved around quite a bit. My wife and I were actually talking about this the other day, and I was like, "This is being here at Telfair. This is the longest I've ever lived in a place." Because we were in Tallahassee, we're in Mariana, we've been in Panama City, we had been in Pensacola before, mainly the Panhandle, but like I said, I went to high school in Ocala. They had been in Keystone Heights for a while, so we moved around a good little bit growing up or whatever. We just kind of made McRae our home. We moved around a little bit as a young coach trying to, find the way or whatever. But, we love it here and everything. So, but, as growing up, being that coach, it was almost like the military families. You never know where you could be in 2, 3, 4 years. So, but we were a very tight knit family. So it's one of those things as home was wherever the family was at. It didn't necessarily matter where we were as long as we were all together. So I had a great upbringing, 2 great parents. So it didn't really bother me. I know some people it bothered whatever, but as long as we had sports and we had family, we were good.
So did you play anything else, or were you just a football guy?
I played baseball and basketball. Baseball I loved playing baseball. Now, we played all the sports, but when in high school, those are the 3 things I played. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure my dad invented Frisbee golf before there was Frisbee golf, because when you're out in the panhandle of Florida, which is like South Georgia, there ain't a whole lot to do. So here we are. Here's the first hole, the pine tree, 100 yards to your left, throw it at it. Here we go. So we were making up games. But, we played everything we could think of growing up. But, I played football, baseball, and basketball growing up. And I love sports. I love playing sports. I love coaching sports. I love watching kids play sports. My daughter plays tennis, so love watching that and seeing her run around and doing that. So I'm just, I guess I'm just a sports nut. I love working with kids through sports.
Yeah, no, I've talked to a lot of guys out of Florida, and when I ask that question, they look at me, and you can hear the incredulity in their voice. They're like, "What? No, man, we played everything. We didn't have a choice." I'm like, well, I'm just trying to throw that out there that when we were coming up, it was, yeah, you played whatever was in season. There wasn't the specialization of,
No, not like now.
What we have now, and then even it's bled over into the smaller schools. Like we both coach at single A programs, and you would think that most of them play 2, but very rarely do you have one that plays year round. Something, more than 2, like plays all 3, or runs track instead of baseball. They'll play football, basketball, and run track.
That's right. It's tough, but we encourage. I think our principal said that we have like 75% of our student body involved in some type of extracurricular activity, whether it's a sport or band or some type of club or activity or whatever, which is great to get these kids involved in this, because the more sports they play, the less time they have to get in trouble.
Absolutely. So. Idle hands are the devil's workshop. Isn't that what they used to say?
That's what they say. I think it holds true.
Oh, yeah. Get them something to do. Get them involved. Plus, it just, think about this. You can speak to this after the year y'all had last year. School morale. How fired up were the Trojans last year? And I'm not talking about just the football players, just the community, the people, the teachers, the random Brando kids at lunch when y'all were on that run. When people ask you about, what's the most important thing that happens all year? I'm sorry, it's football, because it's the first thing that happens all year. And if you have a good football season, odds are your school year is going to go pretty good, because they're the leaders of your school, more than likely. And if they're acting right and they're doing right and they have a good year, it kind of, sets the tone for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and if you think about it on a Friday night, particularly in a school like ours, you've got the football team, which is going to be somewhere between, 45 to 60 kids. You've got the cheerleaders out there. You've got the band out there. A lot of times, at least at ours, the softball team is out there because they're, selling something, doing a raffle or whatever. Cross-country team is also usually a lot of the band kids, but they're out there too. So, every Friday night, you have the majority of the student body involved some way, in that stadium and there. And then plus all the parents and relatives that come as well. And then you have just some of the business people. So, everybody was excited because it was just fun. They enjoyed it and everything. But, people around town were hooting and hollering and excited, and, banners up everywhere because, we have a good cross-country team. We have a good softball team. And then so the whole fall sports was rocking and rolling, and, led into the winter time, and then finished off our girls, were state runner-up in tennis. So like you said, though, it kind of kicks off the school year and gets everybody rolling. But it was exciting. We loved it. The community loved it, and the student body loved it as well.
Well, going back through your career and the people that you work for, and I'm not going to speak for you and say he was the most influential, outside of your father that you coached with, but I'm glad to know that you worked for the legendary and worked with Coach Butch Brooks. Tell us some just stuff about Coach Brooks, because for the younger guys out there that may have never heard of him, he was in fact a legend.
Oh, he was a legend. Obviously, if he's not in the Georgia Hall of Fame, he should be, because he was that good. But he influenced so many young coaches. He gave me my first ass chewing out of school. I remember we were getting ready for a golf tournament, and I had forgot some gift bags or something, so I had to hightail it back to the office and grab those. And he gave me a good one, and I took it like a champ and everything. But he also, too, at the same time, would let you know that he loved you, and he would do anything for you whatsoever. When I decided to, get into high school ball, he was the one making calls, helping me find somewhere to go. And then when my dad got sick and I wanted to move down the coast, he's the one picking up the phone and, calling people for me. So, he was a good one. And he would, like I said, he would coach you hard. Just like I was one of his players, he would coach me hard. He would love you hard. And, we had a lot of great times, in the office and then in his mountain house and, at his home. He loved to have a good time. And he, like I said, he was gonna work you hard, but he always took care of you too at the same time. So, I always owe a lot of my career to, the influence that he had and how he helped me, continue on after I left Tech. But he's one of those great ones. And also, the last year I was in there when he slid over to operations, Bob Griffith came in.
Yeah, Griff. Griff. So I was wondering where the timing was on that, because I remember when Griff became the.
Yep. So talk about two legends in the same office. And my favorite thing was because I would help him out with the coaches clinic when they'd have those, and to sit in the hospitality room with Coach Brooks and Coach Griff and all their buddies that are Georgia high school legends, just to sit in there and listen to them talk ball and just talk, life and all that was just so invaluable of, how to do things and how to run a program. I would just sit in the corner and listen and learn, because it was a house full of legends there.
Yeah, those were the old heads that raised us.
That's right.
You know, when we talk about old heads, those are the old heads.
Yeah, and those are the Georgia high school legends that you see when you're reading through the Georgia high school daily email in the mornings, and you see all those wins. You know, just sitting in a room full of all those guys and everything they've been through. You know, you couldn't learn enough from those guys.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Pilcher, Coach Miller, Coach Griff, Coach Brooks, and they were all best friends. You know, they were all. You know, I remember one year we were at the clinic, and you know, me and Kevin Stevenson were just sitting over doing whatever, and Coach Pilcher was like, "Hey, why don't y'all come sit over here with us?" And we did. And he was like, "Why don't you younger guys ever come hang out with us?" Because you're you. You know,
exactly.
We're scared to death of, you know, you're a legend. Why would you want, we're not trying to bother you. Oh, we're just regular guys. And then when you got sitting around and listening to them, they didn't care. You know, it never crossed their mind that that's the way the younger guys looked at them. You know, they were so humble. They were just like, we don't care. You know, it's whatever. So
yeah. And so, you know, Don Norton is his son-in-law.
Right.
So that's how I got to know Don through him. You know, so, and, you know, now Don's one of the old heads.
Oh yeah,
so,
absolutely.
You know, he's heading to like year 32 or 33, something like that. You know, he's a legend in his own right. But,
yeah, I need to get him on too.
Oh yeah, you want to hear some good stories now. He can tell you some good ones there. But
because he's been at Johnson County for a minute.
He's been there I think over 20 years, you know, both as an assistant with Bill Bonds and then a head coach himself. He'd been there. I want to say he's like closing in on year 20 as head coach over there. But just, you know, I've been so thankful of all the coaches that I've been around, both the head coaches that I've worked for and some of the assistants I've been around that are now head coaches. And even some of the assistants that aren't head coaches, but are just great human beings and great coaches in their own right. Just learning from them about life, not just X's and O's, but everything in general. So
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Definitely been very fortunate in that aspect of my career so far.
Well, did you ever envision, I don't know if this is a fair question, but did you ever envision your first head coaching job turning into a 12-year, going into year 13 stint at one place?
Honestly, I didn't think so. You know,
because you know how volatile it is now. I mean, you figure,
right,
if I can get 4 or 5 years out of this, you know, maybe it'll turn into something else, or they'll run me off, or I'll, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I heard the one that you did with Coach Ford, which another legend. I was listening to him, and it's something that he had said that him and Terrence Banks were talking about, and he said, you know, don't chase the players, don't chase the facilities and things like that. Chase the admin, because if you're aligned with the admin, you can make some things happen. Well, we have some great admin here. The principal that hired me here, Damon Ray, who's now principal at Hancock Central, great one. He and I had coached together before. So he's an old football coach. You know, he knows. And then Eric Cowart, who was a coach on the Hawkinsville staff when they made that run, you know, way back when. I think that was the early 2000s over there. You know, he was on that staff. He's our principal now. Our superintendent, Leonard Harrelson, is an old coach himself and loves sports in general. So we have some outstanding admin that love the aspect of the student athlete, and they understand the importance that athletics has on your school climate and school success. So that's, you know, one of the biggest reasons why, you know, we fell in love with this place is our admin over the years has been so great.
Well, I'm sure with the success you've had there, people have come knocking, you've had other opportunities. What's kept you there? I mean, other than just loving it there.
You know, it just, you it just feels like we felt like God led us here. There's been opportunities along the way, but just felt like this is where God wanted us to be. Sometimes things happen where you just end up staying somewhere. You don't quite understand it at the time, but that maybe a couple years down the road, you understand why that happened and things like that. So we've been very fortunate to be able to stay here and build this program from literally the ground to where we're at now. Now the goal is to continue to sustain that success, but it's a great community. I like the small town feel. They look out for their own, and it's a safe place to be. The family's happy. Wife's a teacher, and she loves it where she's at. And like I said, the admin's been great. The community's great, and so just feels like where God wants us to be right now. So unless he tells me tonight to go somewhere else, we don't plan on going anywhere. But we love it here. Like I said, the people have been great to us, and we don't plan on going anywhere.
Well, you're in a very unique situation of being in one place at one time, because a lot of times, I'll ask guys, over the years how things changed or whatever, but you can literally just look at where you've been for 12 years. In those 12 years, what have you noticed about just the game, not the X's and O's, just the game of high school football? What's changed that you're like, man, this ain't like it was 12 years ago?
Yeah, what kind of talk about, there's a lot of different rules now with the contact policies. There's the heat policies, I guess more emphasis on the concussion awareness and things, it hasn't quite, there's a few things that have kind of trickled down to high school, but you can't just with a defenseless receiver, you got to make sure you wrap and stuff like that. So, teaching those things and make sure they understand the whys of it and the rules of it that have changed since then. And the old wet bulb, the person that designed that, we need to have a talk, because those wet bulbs are obscene looking. But making sure that you keep track of those things, because I remember when I was in high school, or even when I first started coaching, we'd have 3 days with very few water breaks, and there was no heat policies or contact policies or anything like that. But I think the game's kind of changed a little bit, because the kids have kind of changed. They're a little bit more sedentary with the with all the games and the phones and the internet and things like that or whatever, where, we were always outside. We didn't want to come inside because Mama was going to put us to work with some chores. So
right.
Only time we came inside was for some lunch and then go back outside. But it's kind of changed like that. But, we train our kids hard and within the confines of the rules and things like that. But that's probably the biggest thing, is just kind of how these rules that have been added, and now the NILs and transferring and things like that. There's no NILs in McRae, Georgia. We might get you a 2-piece chicken box. So something like that. Now, if you're really good, we might get you a Blizzard at Dairy Queen. But
yeah,
as far as some of these signings and things like that you hear about some of these kids, that ain't happening in McRae, Georgia.
Yeah, that's the stuff you don't really have to worry about when you're in rural middle and South Georgia. They're not going anywhere. No. They're not coming in. They're not going out.
No, nobody's moving to McRae, Georgia.
They're not necessarily. They're probably not going anywhere. They're not getting poached, or they're not playing.
That's fun too, though, in the aspect that most of these kids now, we've been here so long that the kids that are going to be seniors were my wife's first group when she went back to work. So we know all these kids since the time they started elementary school. So they've all grown up together. They play together. We know them. We've known them since they were itty bitty. So there's something to be said for growing up around the same people and It's almost like, they're your brothers because you've played rec ball together, middle school, and now, high school. So,
and when you're
there's
in a
something to be
small
said for
town,
that.
you all go to church together. You all, it's like going back in time. I've tried to explain that to people, and sometimes they look at me horrified or crazy. I'm like, yeah, I mean, if your child gets away from you at the local Dollar General, you can yell at somebody and tell them to grab them, and it can be anybody of any nationality, creed, race, age. It don't matter. They're
That's
their
right.
child too. They will snatch your child up and deliver them back to you. Because
And there's
everybody
something to be said for that because, you worry about certain things and, everybody, most everybody in town knows who my daughter is. So, bless her heart, she ain't be able to get away with anything. So,
and that ain't a bad thing.
that ain't a bad thing either. But, you feel comfortable. You can turn your child loose at a ball game and not have to worry about it or, something like that. We don't have to worry about happen. Not that it can't, but
Right.
you feel a lot safer, with that. So there's something to be said. There, like I said, there's great things about metros and there's great things about small towns. Just whatever, that person's flavor is.
Right. And then as far as, over the years, 12 years within the coaching profession, what have you noticed? What's different about, the next crop of coaches coming through now, the younger guys out there listening? What's some things you could pass on to them that we could help them with?
The biggest thing is just come in and listen and work. Don't worry about titles or things like that. So many people are chasing titles so soon where, I remember as a GA, staying up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, redoing breakdowns when the system crashed or going and getting people's dinners or dip or Coke or make the coffee before the meeting or, picking people up from the airport, whatever is required. It just kind of teaches you that work ethic and being part of a family and a group and a working organization, just learning that first before you try to tell somebody what you know of X's and O's. Just listen and learn. And like you said, I've been here for so long now. One of my former quarterbacks is back with me now coaching. So, that's exciting too, because now they have played under me. They know our expectations. They know our system. So that's going to be fun and exciting. And we got a couple of kids that are going off in college right now that are studying to be, teachers and coaches. So in the next couple of years, hopefully they'll come back to us and that'll be fun too, where you've been there to that point where I guess it won't be too long before I'll start coaching some of our former players' kids. So that's probably why I've got mainly gray hair now, because they've worn me out. I'm getting old. So,
well, what staying on the same vein of helping out the younger guys, since you've been in one place for as long as you have, it's just I haven't had anybody that so far that has been been where they are now for as long as you have, which is awesome. What at about what year would you say? Like, how long did it take you to get it to where everybody could just walk in and you just looked at each other and nodded and everybody just knew, all right, this is how things get set up. This is how we run practice. This is what, and you didn't have to worry about, you know what I mean? Everything kind of started running itself as far as structurally.
Yeah.
About which year did you think that happened? 5, 6, 4?
I would say about 6, because now I've pretty much the last 6, 7 years have had the same staff, give or take one. But they've been in the system. We've just moved them up from the middle school or whatever. But they've been in the system. Now they know me. They know the expectations. They know what we're looking for in the program. The kids know it now too. Sometimes, when a college coach is coming in and I'm kind of talking with them or whatever, they'll go ahead and get started the workout without me, and and get rolling. But it's at the same time, that's what you want. The kids know the expectation, they know what you want done, so they go and get it done. But like I said, we've got a great staff. We work well together, and like I said, they know what we're trying to accomplish. They know what we want on a daily basis. So, you know. Like I'd probably say about halfway through, like year 6 or 7, because I think we've pretty much, this last staff we have has pretty much been together. I want to say the last 6 or 7 years, which that's another big thing is continuity. When you have the majority of your staff together for a long time, they know what you're thinking. They know what you want in the situation, which to me is neat when you can ask a coach, let me see if you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking, and pretty much spot on. That makes it fun when, they know kind of what you had in your thought and your mind anyway. So that's been a big thing to be able to keep these guys here. And it's good for the kids too, because they have so much change in their own lives, but to have those same adults there with them throughout their high school career is good for them developing as young men as well. Because I know I know a lot of schools do this, but our seniors, I'm not sure how long we've been doing this, but they give these golden apples out at the end of the year. And I know a lot of times, because our coaches are so tight with the kids, a lot of our coaches, and not just football, but all sports coaches here, they get a lot of those kids golden apples on that last day because of, what they've meant to them over their 4 years. So, hats off to all of our coaches for what they do for these kids, because they need that continuity in their life.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I'm just glad you touched on that, because I wanted young guys out there to understand that it don't happen overnight. And administrators out there, anybody that might be listening, you got to give these coaches time to get it. And it's not a 2 to 3 year deal. And now, with society the way it is and everybody wants results now, we're talking about 14 to 18-year-old youngins. And you don't have the resources of like a college, whatever. We're dealing with kids. I mean, you can't just go out and buy a team and put them together and throw them out there and, oh, you're not getting it done, you're fired.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Yeah, right. But that's it comes in with the having a great admin that understands what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, and building it the right way, whatever, and surrounding yourself with some excellent young men that, see the vision and what you're trying to accomplish. And of course, having some good players throughout the years, that always helps and makes you look a little bit better than what you may be.
Yeah, Jimmys and Joes do help. And y'all have had a run of them here in the past few years for sure. Because I know when you said y'all were playing Macon County, they were in our region. Manchester was in our region. Because I was like, who y'all got next week? Macon County. Okay, y'all will be all right. It's going to be a tough one. That'll be a good game. Who y'all get if y'all win that game? Probably Manchester. Oh,
yeah.
It's like we finished our season with Sly, Macon, Manchester. All right, made the playoffs. Sweet. Who y'all got first round? Bowden. Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, and people outside of Georgia, or even people in Metro that don't maybe quite know about South Georgia, the amount of talent and dudes in Class A football is ridiculous. I think I was looking at something the other day where there was like 5 guys in the state of Georgia from Class A programs that were in top 50 nationally, recruits or whatever. So there is some, I know it's smaller schools and smaller teams and things like that, but there is some tremendous football down here south of Macon.
Yeah, people think that in
some people
single
I
A
don't know
and double
about.
A, you only have there's one kid that's just on the team and he's just so much better than everybody else. Well, yeah, they'll have one guy, but the really, really good teams, the Brooks counties, when Coach Freeman was, it's going to stay that way, but Coach Freeman was there and had it, rocking and rolling, and Clinch and, the region you're talking about with Clinch and Charlton and Wilcox and those guys, yeah, they'll have one dude, but they'll have about 6 that anybody in Metro would take today. Any big program would take that could play for anybody. And, you're still playing with you might have 40 or 50 on your team or 35 or 40 on the team, but you're still really only playing with about 18.
That's right.
But them 18 can go.
Yeah, there's some war daddies on these fields on Friday nights. There's some great players, and when you hear about it, and I know it's hard sometimes for coaches, especially with the new rule they have. But when they come through here, they're like, man, there's a lot of great players down here. It's just, you have to be willing to drive 30, 40, 50 minutes. And if you're willing to do that, you can really find some great ones. And I understand that, in Atlanta, you can hit, 10, 15 schools in a 5-mile radius. I get it. But the ones that come down here, that want the South Georgia kids, they really come finding some good ones down here. So that's kind of what I love about the small town football too, is these kids, man, they don't know anything but just working.
Yeah, when I worked the hospitality suite at the clinics, and I sit in there and those college coaches come in there, I'm already an idiot. And being self-actualized, I don't care what other people think about me, and I already know that my career is pretty much over. I'm in the twilight of it, and so I don't care. I'm not trying to get another job. I'm not going to be a head coach. I have no interest in any of that. And it's not like colleges are going to hire me to do anything. So I don't really care. So I just tell them, and it may make me look like a bigger idiot. I don't care. And I just tell them, if I was at a directional college, northeast, southwest, east this, west that, whatever, and I was a mid-major or, group of 5 or whatever they're going to be called now, group of 5 school, I'd draw a line under Macon all the way to the Mississippi River, go down till I hit about the Florida Keys. I wouldn't even fool with Atlanta. You don't need to recruit. You're not recruiting against Georgia anyway.
That's right.
You're not going to win that. You're not recruiting against Florida and all those other D1 programs. Hit these small, get in your car and recruit like they used to in the old days. And you can find kids in our area that can come to your little ookie-bookie university that you can't get nowhere else, that will qualify, come play for you, and make you better.
That's right. Because, you can get on 319 or 441 or 280, and, you can hit, Wilcox, Turner, you got Irwin, Clinch, Charlton, Fitzgerald, Tift. And then you can dip into the big boys with Colquitt, Lowndes, Valdosta, Lee County. Of course, we talked about Brooks. There's
Thomasville,
so many,
Worth.
there's so many great programs and coaches and players down here. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just, it blows my mind. And I'm like, I get it. I get the convenience. I understand. And now with the transfer portal and all that other stuff, they're not really recruiting our kids anyway, unless he's a nationally ranked 5-star, whatever. And it's just going to trickle down and have more of a negative effect on our kids. And it makes us look like bozos, like, oh, you're not trying to get my kid recruited. And you're like, dude, look, your kid could have played at a mid-major years ago, but now, he's going to have to go to, D2 or, a smaller place and transfer, I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't even know what to tell a parent now as far as that goes. If their kid was an excellent high school, excellent high school football player, I wouldn't know what to tell them.
Yeah, that whole game, has changed or whatever, and you got to, coaches too, not just the college coaches, but the high school coaches have to kind of change their way and approach, both with the college coaches and, with the parents and kids, and explain to them, how different it is and how much harder it is, and how much game ready you got to be because of years of bringing a lineman in and developing them for 2 or 3 years and stuff like that. The big guys want them ready to go, and that's partly because they know they're only going to get 2, maybe 3 years to win, or they're fired. So it's a trickle down effect to everybody.
Well, let's wrap up with some fun stuff. Who was the best or some of the best that you've seen coached against? Who's probably who are a few of the best players you've coached against?
Best players. I mean, you had DJ Lundy, over in Irwin, who's now at Florida State. And he played for the late Buddy Nobles. Who they had a great run. You can name a whole slew of Clinch County players that have gone Division I over there with when Jim Dickerson was in charge. Of course, now he's back in charge there. Turner County always had some studs. Trying to think of the guy's name. Ontario Wilson, and there was another one that they both played at Florida State. And there was a guy at Wilcox named Nick Marshall. He wasn't a bad player.
He was okay.
Yeah, he was okay.
He wasn't bad.
Yeah, he was all right. I remember when we were at Glen Academy, we were playing. I think Cannon might have touched on this or whatever. We're playing Old Creekside. Kevin Whitley, the coach, and there was a guy named Eric Berry there that was playing safety and quarterback.
Yeah, I was in the region with him. I was at Lithia Springs then. Yeah, he wasn't terrible.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Let me tell you my Eric Berry story. After the game, after he had rushed for 900 yards and threw for a mile and a half, after the game, he has his helmet under his arm, looked everybody in the face, shook your hand, and very succinctly and politely shook your hand, said, "Great game," as if to say, "I enjoyed kicking the crap out of you, Coach."
Yeah.
But, I mean, he was just so well-spoken, carried himself so well as a young kid, And,
That's right.
I mean, besides his athletic ability, you just knew the way he carried himself. You were like, oh, this kid's going to make it. I don't care if he plays football. This kid might be president one day. I mean, he had it.
Yeah, when I was at Glen Academy, we went against Darius Slay.
Yeah, he wasn't bad. Kevin W. Stevenson coached him. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, however, we would have some battles in track because he ran track, and then myself, Coach Veal, we did track along with Kevin. Did it over at Brunswick. So. We pretty much practiced and ran meets with each other almost every day. So we've seen some great players that have had great high school careers, college careers, and then several of them have even gone on and had very successful pro careers. So and a lot of those were at small schools, but the coaches, the dudes that we've gone against, down here, Vaughn, we've played Bleckley with Vaughn over at Bleckley, like I said, Buddy Nobles, Hall of Famer Rich McWhorter over at Charlton. There's been some great ones over the years that we've had the opportunity to coach against, and sometimes those have ended well, and sometimes they've ended not so well.
Well, how about that you've coached?
Probably here or just in general?
No, just anywhere. Just the best you've coached.
Just talking about here, we've had Abraham Freeman, who was I only got to coach him for 1 year. I wish I would have got to have him for more than that. He was just kind of an athletic freak. But he got to play. I've had several here that have been pretty good. There was a kid named Richie Rich, like the cartoon character, that played for us at Wheeler when I was with Chuck Goddard. He was a running back. He has signed with North Carolina. He was one of the fastest kids I've ever seen. I mean, he was even, everybody in Atlanta's fast, and he was fast in Atlanta. So he was a special talent up there, and he would make your play calling look good, and he would make your linemen look real good if they happen to mess up on something. He was some good ones there. But there's just so many that I don't know. Maybe I consider them great players, but everybody else wouldn't. But I kind of remember all of them just from here, whatever that we've had go that I thought they were special players for here. That have gone on and had some good, solid college careers. That one of the best ones, and you probably remember when we threw. If he would only been taller, he might have been like the next Tim Tebow. That was Ian Blankenship. He was a good one here. He was a heck of a wrestler, baseball player. He was a heck of a football player. We always joked around him that he was like a fullback that could throw because he was about 5'9", 190 pounds, and could run a little bit. But
he could throw the crap out of the football.
Yeah, he could throw. He could throw. I remember one coach arguing with us in a 7-on-7. He's like, nobody goes empty inside the 5-yard line. I was like, Coach, you got to pull up some of our tape because that's what we're doing. And because we basically were. It was like a wildcat capability. Without it, he ended up having an All-American career at the Merchant Marine Academy up in New York, and now he's making stupid money, working 6 months out of the year doing that. So he's had a very successful career so far, whatever. He was only about 5'9". If he would have been probably, 6 foot or 6'1", he would have had a lot more opportunities, but he sure was fun to watch, and he made play calling on Friday nights a whole lot easier.
Well, that's awesome. I sure do enjoy watching teams that you coach. They're always hard-nosed. They always get after it. And first 12 years at Telfair, I'm sure the next 12 are going to be fantastic as well. I appreciate you being on with me. Appreciate your friendship over the years, and I just can't wait to see, coming off a semifinal appearance, to see y'all take the next step and finish the drill on that. It's just a long time coming, and people have been seeing it coming. I mean, it's been building for the past 3 or 4 years, and that's a testament to you and your staff and your vision and just you and the impact you've had on not only the community but the young people of Telfair County.
Well, I appreciate that, and I thank you for thinking of me and having me on here. And I just enjoy listening to all those other guys that you've had on here. It's fun to, you can listen to the X's and O podcast, but get on and just hear some of these legends in the state of Georgia come on and talk about their careers or stories. It's been fun to listen to. So I appreciate you thinking of me and allowing me to spend some time on here talking life and ball with you.
Well, thanks so much for being on, Coach. And if you ever need anything, you know how to get with me.
Will do. I appreciate you.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. The rush of racing? Nothing beats it. But Chumba Casino comes close. Chumba's got fast spins, fun games, daily bonuses, and all the action you can handle. Now that's a ride. Ready to hit the throttle? Get in the driver's seat and head to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
If you work in university maintenance, Grainger considers you an MVP because your playbook ensures your arena is always ready for tip-off. And Grainger is your trusted partner, offering the products you need all in one place, from HVAC and plumbing supplies to lighting and more. And all delivered with plenty of time left on the clock, so your team always gets the win. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, visit Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.